tug here.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, we're volunteering.
What do you say?
So now, due to the location of the eyes on top of the alligator's head, he can see what's above him and to the sides, but he can't see directly behind him. And so that's right where I want to be. So I want to make sure that his head is straight here. And this is how you walk your alligator. Bring it back around here one more time.
Are you taking some pictures?
Megan's taking a video.
I know, this is like
Sure, his head is straight.
Behind
Real
you.
quick. Give him a tug. Hands on the neck. And our knees and his armpits here. And then it's yeehaw. So now,
Oh my God.
oh my God.
so it is at this point in the show where I'd really like to give my alligator a nice chance to catch his breath. And it is also at this point in the show where I'd like to remind my crowd that this will be an audience participation show from this point forward. And so by that what I mean is that if one of this guy's buddies is coming just a little too close behind me, I want you guys all to yell and scream as loud as you can, warning, okay?
Okay.
You guys think you can do that here for me today?
Sure.
Alright. So now,
Oh my
Crazy.
God. He's going in the water.
the alligator, he is an amphibious reptile. Now he's not an amphibian. An amphibian would be like a frog, a toad, a salamander, but he is amphibious, and so he does spend a great deal of his time in the water.
This guy.
And a lot of that time is spent underwater. So he is very well adapted for that aquatic lifestyle.
Got a friend
He
on the
can hold his
move over
breath
here.
for several hours at a
got a
time,
couple
and how long he can hold his breath depends on how warm or cold it is and how active they are
Right,
determines
no
how fast they do burn up that oxygen. So we're gonna get him to open up his mouth here nice and wide.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Open up. Open up. Alright. So with this guy, or maybe if you notice one of the other guys hanging around with their mouths open, you'll notice you cannot actually see down his throat. And that's because the back of his tongue is acting as a valve, allowing that alligator to open his mouth while he's underwater there, without actually taking in any water in his stomach. The nostrils are located on top of the snout here, and those are also equipped with valves. And due to the location of their eyes on top of their heads, it allows them to submerge beneath the surface of the water with only those eyes above the surface. And while that is a great adaptation for hunting, it does at the same time leave those eyes in a very vulnerable position. And so they are retractable back into a skull, where they're then protected by a heavy bony ridge here. So when this guy does open up his eyes, you'll notice that they kind of roll forward. And that's due to a secondary eyelid known as the nictitating membrane. And that membrane functions similar to a pair of diving goggles, allowing that alligator to open his eyes while he's underwater there. So now, like I was saying earlier, due to that location of their eyes on top of their heads, they can see what's above them and to the sides, but they can't see directly behind them. More importantly, they can't see directly in front of them, allowing me to wiggle my fingers right out in front here. He can't see nothing. And I can even go so far as to...
I don't know how to watch that.
You can only see on the side.
It's one of those cases of where what he can't see can't hurt me. So now who wants to see something really stupid?
No.
Alright, so the inside of an alligator's mouth, it is very sensitive. Even the slightest little prick is going to cause that alligator to slam his jaw shut with thousands of pounds of force. So now who wants to see what would happen if I reached inside there and then just gave him a little tickle?
We got company.
Sit. Yeah. Good boy.
Look, hey! You're gonna kill him. Good Lord.
You say, okay. Now we're gonna open up his mouth here. This actually is a very dangerous trick. This is where a majority of alligator wrestlers do get bit.
I don't look at him.
I've only been doing this trick for about 3 weeks now. Still have all my fingers nowhere, so we're all good.
Yay.
Ready?
Now,
Do it.
Nobody blink, okay? I'm gonna count it down.
Okay.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Oh!
Okay.
I closed my eyes.
You.
Now,
I have a video.
perhaps you guys may have also heard that a person can hold the jaws shut of a very large alligator. Now, I won't go as far as to say that you can hold the jaws shut of the world's largest alligator. Simply put, nobody has big enough hands to do so. But like I was saying earlier, that closing force on their jaws, thousands of pounds of force. But their opening force, very weak, only 40, 50 pounds. That allows a person with girly little hands like me to hold the jaws shut of a pretty large alligator as long as I can fit those hands around his mouth. So what we're going to do is start back here in the neck in our safety area. We're going to slowly run our hands forward. Right around here, we're going to shut his jaws. We're going to walk our hands forward here, maintaining that pressure. And right out, when we get out front here, we're going to immediately rock back with his head. That doesn't hurt the alligator at all. He can move his head forward at any time. But when my hands are in this position, I do not want him twisting and rolling out from under me, as that is the first thing he will do in an attempt to free himself. And it is at this point in the show where we can have another trainer come out in front here, tape this alligator's mouth shut, and then we can transport him between facilities or do any procedures that we might need to do on these guys, because it is a lot safer for both us and the alligator when their mouths are closed. So, probably the most important part of being on an alligator's back is knowing when and how to get off. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover up his eyes here, make sure he's nice and calm. We're going to check behind us, make sure that his buddies are too close back there, which I hope you guys will inform me about. And then we're real quick going to back up off of him. And that is alligator wrestling. Let's give him a look here. Now, the next portion of the show, it is my favorite part. It is the feeding portion. So now what I'm going to need from you guys is 4 or 5 smallish volunteers. I don't think you guys really get what I mean. No, I do have a bucket of chicken in the back here. So I'm going to run back, grab you guys that chicken, and I'll show you guys just how these guys are fed. So just 1 second. I'll be right back
You would
out.
volunteer to be lion meat, but if, to get in with them, they'd be like, well, I'll take my chances. I'll take my chances. Oh, to get in with them.
I totally closed my eyes.
Now, if I were to just come out here and start throwing out random pieces of chicken, it would not be too long before these animals started to associate me with the food that I'm giving them. Not too long after that before I actually become the food. And that's not a good thing, and so we have taught them to associate this green bucket and a sound signal with the food instead. That sound signal is me banging on the bucket with this stick. As you guys can see, these guys are getting a little bit antsy. They're seeing the green bucket here, so they know they're about to get fed. Let's bang on the bucket.
Go, I'm first.
I love it.
Just a little bit more action now. All right. So, like I was saying earlier, due to that location of their eyes on top of their heads, they can see the meat as it's thrown, and they hear it hit the ground, and then it's a matter of feeling for it. They can't actually see it when it's on the ground there. It's up here, bud.
He's like, that's mine.
All right.
There's Bootsy trying to get a piece of meat.
Now some of these little guys.
I told you.
These.
That big
So when they do grab that chicken, you notice they kind of roll their heads to the side in order to pick it up. And we'll try it again with one of these other guys. So they kind of roll their heads to the side in order to pick it up. And that's because their necks are too short and their heads are too long to simply bend straight down for that chicken, and so they have to roll their heads to the side like you saw with that guy.
Look. There's Lola.
There it is. Okay, so with that guy, you kind of see how he does a slight chewing motion with that chicken. And that's not chewing as you and I would. That's more repositioning that chicken in his mouth to more easily swallow it.
Sorry, you got a little crazy.
Okay.
Okay. Hey.
Oh my
God, this is so funny.
No,
Back
it's
this way.
not.
Oh, maybe in control, but I was that too. What?
Wait.
He's like, I'm gonna bite your ankle. He's like, Victor, this is my food.
He knows that's the one to bug.
He's like, I'm gonna kill you now.
Going in the water, dude.
Alright, you can have
Okay,
it.
Dad,
Literally sitting right on it, but
I don't like it.
now you leave me alone.
Oh my god!
He's trying to grab the bucket.
Thank you.
There.
There we go.
Oh gosh.
That one's
We'll let some of these guys in the water here. We'll try it with this big guy right here.
Oh.
So when he does grab that piece of chicken, he kind of brings his head above the surface of the water in order to swallow it, just like that. And that's because of the back of his tongue acting as a valve, like I was talking about earlier. We'll try it again with this guy right here. So that tongue acting as a valve allows them to open their mouths while they're underwater there, grab that piece of chicken, but it doesn't then allow them to swallow it while they're underwater, and so they have to bring their heads above the surface like you saw with those guys. So, we'll try some of these guys back here.
Please, they smell it.
Yeah, they do.
This one's just like, I'm lazy.
Oh, there it is.
Come on.
Ooh.
Maybe we'll try
They don't get fed.
a few of these guys back over here.
He's like, I'm
Gotta work
lazy.
for it.
Got it.
Ooh.
Look at you.
Oh, that's the one.
Give it a bucket. Give it a bucket.
Oh yeah.
Ice cream. There's cute.
Come here, buddy.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Whoop.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Oh my
Oh, no, no.
god.
I can't watch this.
I know you have the
As you guys saw, that was a pretty good throw, if I do say so myself. It hit him right in the face there, right where it's supposed to land. He completely missed it. And that does actually serve as a great indication that that guy right there is a Packers fan. There you go. Down here. Come on.
It's a nice workout. Like you're dodging snakes and working with alligators. God.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
One more time here.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Alright, so one last piece of chicken here. Let's see if any of these guys in the water are hungry at all.
Oh, okay.
So this big guy right here, his name is Albert, and he's the biggest guy we have in this enclosure. Albert here is about 8.5 feet long, and he's pushing 400 pounds.
Oh my god.
But Albert's only really active when there's food involved. So let's see here. Come on, Albert. Oh, it's up here.
Fat Albert.
Come on, Albert. Okay.
You're like, look, I'm just too big.
There it is. Okay. So that was the last of my chicken. Thank God. But I do have one last surprise for you guys. And so if you guys want to hang tight real quick, I'm going to run in the back here, wash off my hands, grab you guys that surprise, and I'll be right back out. So just 1 second. So you guys will notice that I did not actually feed every animal in this enclosure. Being large, carnivorous, and cold-blooded, these guys have very slow metabolisms. And so these guys don't actually mind at all waiting days, weeks, or even months without food. And there actually is a group of Nile crocodile in one river in Africa that only go on one substantial meal per year.
Wow.